Let's welcome back to the show Congresswoman Nancy Mace. It's great to see you, Congresswoman. Okay,
good to be here.
The Republicans are going to probe Hunter Biden. They may subpoena him, right? They may subpoena his foreign business partners if they take back control, if Republicans take back control of Congress. How can the White House top spin this? Obama White House visitor logs? The president keeps saying, I never knew about Hunter's business deals, didn't know anything about it. But the visitor logs, according to the New York Post, say that Eric Schwerin, Hunter's business partner, visited the White House at least 19 times. Why does he get to visit, and why does the president keep denying that he didn't know anything about it?
Right. Those 19 visits to the White House plus 80,000 emails and text messages and counting show that Joe Biden knew a lot more than he's willing to fess up to these days. I want to know everything that was happening. Like Jim Jordan said recently last week, that we need to have an investigation on oversight, and I serve on oversight with Jim Jordan. And one of the first subpoenas we ought to issue is for Hunter Biden's laptop. And guess what? If he doesn't show up, then we're just going to hold him in contempt. That's how that's going to work.
First, it was the Biden campaign basically telling journalists, if you report on this, you're going to be committing journalistic malpractice. That was during the campaign, right? So they bullied that. Then they said it was Russian disinformation based on speculation from 50 intel officers. Then when the information came back out, they said, oh, there's nothing here, right? Biden didn't know about it. But it's in documents. I mean, we've also got Eric Schwerin involved in Biden's personal tax returns, talking about redirecting Biden's state, tax refund from Delaware to pay off the bills he owed to Hunter.
Right. And they said it was a conservative hoax or conservative conspiracy theory, and it wasn't. This was censorship by mainstream media, censorship, an attempt of censorship by Joe Biden. They're continuing that. They're trying to keep this information out there. Hunter Biden's under federal investigation, which is, it's not a matter of if, Liz, it's a matter of when Republicans win in November, and I believe it'll be a landslide. It'll be a giant red wave. We have got to hold people accountable. Those who break the law ought to go to jail, and they ought to be held accountable for the laws that they are breaking. And I want to get to the bottom of this. Okay. I think one of the reasons that the American people are so frustrated with Congress and politicians in general, it just seems like nobody is ever held accountable, ever. And we've got to be the first ones in line to do this when we get the majority in November.
Okay, let's listen to the president top spin this. And as more and more documents come out, you're going to see this is flat out deception in real time. Watch this.
Mr. Vice President, how many times have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings. I have never discussed with my son or my brother or anyone else anything having to do with their businesses, period.
What's your understanding of what your son was doing for an extraordinary amount of money?
I don't know what he was doing.
Okay, New York Magazine interviewed Hunter Biden in 2019 or so. Hunter Biden said, yes, I did talk to my father about my business dealings. And the president, candidate Biden, apparently, I'm paraphrasing, said, I hope you know what you're doing. We've got a grand jury investigation focused on Hunter Biden's potential tax evasion, money laundering, gifts he received from China, Kazakhstan. Hunter used off-balance sheet shell companies to burr the cash flow from Russia, Kazakhstan, Ukraine. So did President Biden use a shell corporation to avoid paying Medicare and Obamacare taxes? Do you see the thread here? You see what's going on?
Sounds like a great TV ad for 2024, and it sounds like Joe Biden may have been pickpocketing our foreign allies through his son, the business that his son was doing that we all know wasn't qualified to conduct. And that's why on oversight, we ought to be investigating this come January once we're all sworn into the next legislative session.
But Congresswoman, here it is. It's Senate Homeland Security and Senate Finance. Chuck Grassley, Senator Ron Johnson, they looked in this in 2020. They discovered that there were at least four large transactions involving the Bidens, Hunter Biden, potentially the uncle. The banks, U.S. banks, were flagging this as potential criminal activity to the Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. At least four. This is the tip of the iceberg stuff. How can you get to the bottom of it? How are you going to do it?
Well, it's really shocking when you start reading some of that, both the Senate and the House, and I sit on oversight where we have subpoena power. It's up to us. It's up to Republicans to put their money where their mouth is and say that if we're going to investigate someone, that we actually do it. And so with the subpoena power, we can force folks to show up and investigate it. We can get a copy of the laptop and do that when we get back in the next session. But we can't do that without Republicans being in the majority. And when we are, we got to go.
Got it. Congresswoman Mace, thanks for joining us. Come back soon. We're coming out of the bottom of the hour. You're watching the Fox Business Network. We've got video resurfacing of candidate Biden on the campaign trail, telling migrants to, quote, surge the border. We've got that for you just ahead. Plus, crime continues to explode across the nation. We're talking carjackings in Philadelphia and New York, also smash and grab lootings spreading to other states like Ohio after erupting in California. The story next.